Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be comparing the teacher-led Abeka with the teacher-led BJU Press curriculum. Now, I have already done a video a couple years ago comparing Abeka Academy, their video program, with the BJU Press Distance Learning video program. I will leave that video, I will link that video down below. But this one is just comparing the parent-led one. The reason I decided to do this video was because I just switched curriculum for my kindergartner. We were going to do Abeka K5 for everything. We're just going to do their set curriculum, K5 Abeka, and we started using it towards the end of last year and over the summer, and I just realized it was not a good fit for me, and it didn't meet the goals that I had for my kindergartner. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad program at all, it just was not a good fit for me. So I thought I'd share kind of the difference between the two to maybe help you decide which one would be better for your family. Now, I want to just say this because I know that a lot of times people review curriculum and they haven't really used curriculum very much. So I am not a beginner when it comes to using Abeka or BJU. I've been homeschooling for 15 years. If you're new to my channel, I've been homeschooling 15 years. I've already graduated my oldest, she's in college. And in the early years with my oldest, I used Abeka for several different subjects and I taught that myself. I have also taught BJU curriculum, by myself. I have used Abeka Academy, their video program for some kids. I have used BJU Press Distance Learning. So I have used a lot of different aspects of both of these curriculums. And I have to say that they're both excellent choices. But I want to let you know some of the distinctions that I kind of remembered, I guess, this summer as I was, working with my up-and-coming kindergartner a little bit, kind of easing into the new school year. It just dawned on me again, like, okay, this is why Abeka doesn't work for me. I knew this, but I had forgotten. I think sometimes as homeschool moms, we're always questioning ourselves and thinking, maybe the other thing is better. And that's kind of where I was like, surely Abeka's gonna work. It'll work. But it didn't work for me. So I just want to share 3 distinctions. I'm sure that there are tons more distinctions, but these are the 3 that really for me make the big difference between which one I would personally go with. The first one is the teacher's manual. I find for me, the Abeka teacher's manual is confusing. Now, I know other people who use Abeka and say the Abeka teacher's manual works so great for them and it's easy to use and they love the way it's organized. For me and the way my mind works, it just looks like a bunch of words on a whole bunch of pieces of paper. And I feel like I was spending so much time for K5 weeding through and reading through all of the stuff in the teacher's manual, highlighting in one color all of the things that I needed to pull out and gather, highlighted in another color all the things that I needed to, make note of to teach to my son. And I felt like I was spending way too much time preparing for something that I was hoping would just almost be pretty open and go. And it just wasn't that way for me. Now, again, I encourage you, go look at samples of Abeka's teacher's manual, look at samples of BJU's teacher's manual, and see which one makes the most sense to you and clicks with you. But for me, when I opened up Abeka, I just saw a ton of words and it was just overwhelming to me. And I felt like I spent way too much time trying to figure out what we were supposed to do and not really getting around to actually doing it because I'd already spent so much time preparing and looking through it and all of that. With the BJU teacher's manual, I feel like I can just open that up and go. There really isn't a whole lot of preparation that I have to do. Obviously, I like to kind of look ahead at the beginning of each week to see if there's any kind of supplies I need to get or anything in particular that might take extra time that I can schedule on a particular day when I know we'll have more time. But for the most part, for me with BJU, I just open it up and I just start going on that particular subject. And I just find it a lot easier to know this is the supplies we need, this is what I'm supposed to be teaching him, these are optional activities, these are questions I should be asking. Like, it just fits the way my mind likes to organize things. So I encourage you not just to look at the curriculum, but to look at the teacher's manual for any curriculum that you choose. Look at the teacher's manual and think, is this going to be easy for me to follow and easy for me to be able to implement in my home? And for me, my mind works better with the BJU Press Teacher's Manual. So that is the first big difference that I have seen between Abeka and BJU. The second big difference that I knew, but I just thought maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, and that was the emphasis on rote memorization and critical thinking. And for me, I really want the bigger emphasis to be on critical thinking. I want my kids to memorize things, but I want even more so that they have critical thinking skills. Because for me, I don't think it does all that much good if you have a whole bunch of facts memorized, but you don't know how to think critically about them and to apply them to your life. So when I was using the K-5 Abeka, and again, remember, I have used Abeka before. I've used that curriculum to teach lots of different subjects to older kids and younger kids, but it was just a reminder to me this past summer as we were using the K-5 Abeka curriculum that it just has such a big emphasis on rote memorization, especially in those early years, and there really was very little critical thinking. On the other hand, I feel like BJU does a phenomenal job of helping our kids think critically while still memorizing facts, but the emphasis is more on critical thinking. And for me personally, my kind of goal with my kids, as you can tell, is critical thinking. For me, that is more of a priority than the memorization. Now, some of you might disagree and you might think, no, memorization is really important, especially in the elementary years, and I'm not really worried about the critical thinking right now. We'll get to that later. And so if that's how you feel, then Abeka might be a really great fit. But for me, Abeka was so much rote memorization, and I just felt like there was no real even place to think critically or think about what you're doing. It's just memorize, memorize, memorize. I just went, this is not meeting the goals that I have for my kindergartner, or really for, it wouldn't be a goal for any of my kids. And so that would be another reason why I went, I really prefer BJU for my family. The teacher's manual is easier, and there is a lot more critical thinking in the BJU Press curriculum. The third difference that I have seen between the two programs has to do with the speed in which they move through introducing material and the academic level that they're teaching at. Now, I think both of them provide an excellent rigorous academic education for our kids. And so I would say either program your kids would do well with in terms of getting a really good, solid education. What I have seen over the years of using the two different ones, Abeka and BJU, is that Abeka seems to be a grade level ahead of what I would think a typical grade level student would need to be doing or required to do. Now, it is hard. It is so hard in homeschooling because we really don't operate a lot by grades, and our kids, part of homeschooling is recognizing that our kids are different, they're unique. They might be more at a 5th grade level for one thing and a 3rd grade level for another, and we pick and choose and we make what works for, we do what works best for our kids. So I hate talking about grade levels, but I need to talk about grade levels. And I just felt like Abeka was all of their curriculum was more of a grade level above where I think the average student would need to be. So for my kindergartner, that is not what he needed. He needed to be at a kindergarten level, and I felt like the Abeka K-5 did a really quick review of what I thought was typical kindergarten material, and then I felt like went into more first grade material that was just too challenging, and assumed that my son had way too many, or had more knowledge and experience with different concepts than he had. I like BJU because I feel like they introduce concepts at a nice pace that is at grade level. Even I think sometimes they're even more rigorous than a lot of other curriculum too, but I didn't feel like it was a whole grade level above where I think my student should be for a normal kid. But then there really is no normal kid. But you get what I'm saying, right? I feel like BJU just moves at the right pace. When they say 5th grade, that would be probably a 5th grade curriculum. If they say kindergarten, I would think that is probably what the average kindergartner could learn. So for my kindergartner, he was not ready for first grade work. He really needed a good foundation in basic kindergarten concepts. And so I realized the Abeka K5 is moving way too fast and expecting way too much of him than what he really needed. And so again, I just went, okay, BJU is going to be a much better fit for him because of that. Now, again, if you have a student who is really, especially in the early years, is really kind of ahead of normal grade level, then maybe using Abeka and putting them in that, if they're 3rd grade and you put them in 3rd grade, they're going to be more challenged because it's probably going to be more 4th grade material. But you could also use BJU and just put them in a grade above. If they're 3rd grade, you could just have them do 4th grade and move, do the grade level up. So obviously if you have a 3rd grader, they don't need to be doing 3rd grade level curriculum. You can pick which one is best for your kid. So for me, just Abeka moved way too fast, and it really was, I thought, not the grade level that they say is not what I think would be that typical grade level. So I would love to hear from you. I would love to know, have you used Abeka? Have you used BJU? Have you noticed these things as well? Because this is my experience. This is what I kind of think after using the curriculum. But maybe you guys have a different take. Maybe you have a different perspective on it. So I would love to hear from you. If you love Abeka and it's worked great for you, let me know in the comments. If you love BJU, let me know. If you've used both of them and you didn't like either of them, or they both seem similar, or let me know down in the comments, because I'm making this video to help other homeschool moms. And so after you watch this video, read the comments and hear what other homeschool moms have to say so that you can get just a good idea of what's going to work best for your family. But for me, BJU is definitely a better fit because, one, the teacher's manual is so much easier for me to understand and to implement and just to open and go and use in my home. Number 2, I really want critical thinking skills to be a priority, and I'm not all that thrilled with just rote memorization. So that's another reason why I really prefer BJU. And then I want to know that when I'm getting a grade level, that is kind of the standard grade level. Which is why I like BJU. And I love that BJU does so much good just review and making sure our kids know past concepts that they need to know before they build new concepts. For me, it just fits more with the way I want my kids to learn and to progress and to have just a nice, easy, transition from one concept to the next in each subject that they're doing. But again, I would love to hear from you and your experience with these two programs and get your input as well, because of course this is just my opinion, and one of the great things about homeschooling is that we have so many options, and what works for one person might not work for you. So while BJU Press works the best for me, might not be the best fit for your family. So I'd love to hear from all of you down in the comments below.